This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. The acting Highway Patrol Group Chief of the Philippine National Police has voluntarily resigned from his post after a subordinate accused him of sexual harassment. Brigadier General Jesse Tamayo, however, denied the allegation in a statement on Wednesday, calling it part of a personal vendetta against him. "I have always conducted myself with the utmost professionalism and respect for my colleagues and the public I serve. I firmly deny the allegations. I can only deduce this is a personal vendetta, the reason of which I am not aware," Tamayo said. To ensure a completely impartial, fair and transparent conduct of the investigation, I have decided to voluntarily step down from my position as acting director of the PNP Highway Patrol Group, effective immediately, he added. "My decision to resign is not an admission of guilt, but a demonstration of my commitment to due process and the institutional reputation of the Philippine National Police," Tamayo said. The alleged victim filed the administrative case against Tamayo on Tuesday before the National Police Commission, accusing him of violating Republic Act No. 7877 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act and RA 10173 or the Data Privacy Act. In a separate statement, the NAPOLCOM said the victim alleged that the acting PNP-HPG chief invited her to have sex with him with the use of intimidation and threats. He also supposedly accessed her cell phone and its contents without her consent. Tamayo responded by saying that he welcomed a thorough investigation to clear his name. He also pledged to cooperate as he called for the process to be fair and for his right to be presumed innocent to be respected. "By stepping down, I aim to remove any perception of influence or conflict of interest while the proper authorities perform their duties," he said. An active police officer and an Air Force reservist are currently being investigated for allegedly serving as bodyguards to a Chinese fugitive who was arrested in Makati City for supposed involvement in telecom fraud. On Wednesday evening, the Bureau of Immigration Fugitive Search Unit, in coordination with the Philippine National Police, Makati City Police, and government intelligence forces, arrested the Chinese fugitive in Mercedes Street, Barangay Bell, in Makati. BIFSU Chief Rindel Ryansai said in an interview with reporters on Thursday that during their surveillance, they discovered that the Chinese suspect has bodyguards and protective agents, two of whom are an active police officer and an Air Force reservist. Sai noted that during their entrapment operation, they personally caught the Air Force reservist, along with one more bodyguard. The other one, who is said to be an active police officer, was not in the area, but we saw traces because in one of the rooms we could see a police uniform, he added. The BI official also said they already confirmed the identity of the supposed active police officer who also served as a bodyguard of the Chinese fugitive. According to Sai, the BI had already coordinated with the Philippine National Police and the Armed Forces of the Philippines to investigate the uniformed personnel, emphasizing that what they supposedly did is illegal. So this is now being investigated by the AFP and the PNP leadership to be punished because they strictly prohibit the provision of security, especially these active uniformed personnel, Sai said. To my knowledge, PNP and AFP strictly prohibit what we call moonlighting. This is especially true for active duty personnel as they are not allowed to provide security, much more to someone who, in this case, is a fugitive, he added. The Supreme Court on Thursday said it has affirmed the Sandiganbayan's conviction of a former mayor of an Agusan del Norte town for failing to liquidate 900,000 pesos in public funds. In a statement, the High Court said it upheld the conviction of Teresita J. Soliva, who served as mayor of the municipality of Remedios T. Romualdez in Agusan del Norte from 2001 to 2007. During her term, she received several cash advances for confidential and intelligence funds, travel and peace and order expenses. The municipal accountant and the Commission on Audit sent her demand letters requiring her to liquidate or return cash advances totaling over 900,000 pesos. She, however, failed to comply. Although she made partial payments through payroll deductions, only 551,000 pesos of the remaining amount was supported by documents. Due to her continued failure to liquidate the amounts despite repeated demands, she was charged before the Sandiganbayan for malversation and failure to render accounts in violation of Articles 217 and 218 of the Revised Penal Code. While the case was pending, Soliva claimed the amounts had already been refunded through payroll deductions, but she did not submit evidence to support this claim and did not appear at the hearings. The Sandiganbayan found her guilty and denied her request for a new trial to submit alleged newly discovered evidence. In upholding her conviction, the SC emphasized that malversation under Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code is committed when an accountable officer entrusted with public funds misuses them and cannot satisfactorily explain their disappearance. Even if there is no direct proof of misuse, it is enough to show there is a shortage in the accounts that the officer cannot explain. In such cases, the law presumes the funds were used for personal gain unless the officer can prove otherwise, the court said. 5 policemen were killed in an ambush in Barangay Mother Poblacion, Sheriff Agwak, Maguindanao del Sur on Saturday night, the 28th of March. 3 other police officers were wounded. The victims from the 2nd Provincial Mobile Force Company of the Maguindanao del Sur Police Provincial Office were on their way back to camp from a patrol when they were waylaid. Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao Chief Minister Abdul Rauf Makaka condemned the ambush. We have directed the concerned ministries to immediately undertake a thorough investigation, in close coordination with law enforcement agencies, to ensure that the perpetrators of this heinous act are swiftly identified and held accountable to the full extent of the law, Makaka said in an online statement. He sympathized with the families of the victims. We extend our deepest sympathies and prayers to the families of the fallen personnel. The Bangsamoro government stands in solidarity with them during this time of grief and will extend the necessary assistance to support their bereavement. Makaka urged people to help bring justice to the victims. We likewise call upon our constituents to remain calm, exercise vigilance, and cooperate with authorities by providing any information that may aid in the ongoing investigation. The wounded were taken to a hospital. Nobody has claimed responsibility for the incident. Follow-up investigation and pursuit operations are ongoing. Before the ambush in Maguindanao del Sur on the 28th of March that killed 5 policemen, a police corporal was killed in a separate ambush in Sigiran, Lanao del Sur, police in the Bangsamoro region said Monday. Captain Steffi Salangwit, spokesperson for the Police Regional Office Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, said Police Corporal Walid Sangkapan, 42, of Bayang, Lanao del Sur, was killed in an ambush by motorcycle-riding gunmen in Barangay Paglamatan, Sigiran, Lanao del Sur, at about 1:45 am on the 28th of March. Salangwit also said that alias Jr., a resident of Bukidnon who was with the slain police officer, was also killed in the ambush. She said the suspects were 2 gunmen on board a motorcycle. The victims were on board a grey Toyota Innova, plate number ZTV289, when they were ambushed by the 2 gunmen using a .45 caliber pistol. Salangwit said Sankapan alighted from the Innova he was driving when the first shot was fired, but the suspects caught up with him and fired more shots. Police are reviewing CCTV footage at the ambush site while a manhunt operation is ongoing. Another ambush struck Maguindanao del Sur on Monday morning, with the target narrowly escaping death. Captain Steffi Salangwit, spokesperson for the Police Regional Office Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, said Haji Mansa Manjalan, village chairperson of Barangay de Malasay, Paglat, Maguindanao del Sur, was slightly injured in the 8:30 am ambush in Barangay Malangit, Pandag Town. Mangalin's driver, Erifah Abpet, also from the same village, however, was seriously injured. Salangwit said Manjalan was on board a black Toyota Innova, plate number MAH2991, driven by Abpet, and was on his way to the Paglat town proper when motorcycle riding suspects opened fire on them. The Office of the Ombudsman has been asked to investigate and file criminal and administrative cases against Department of Health Secretary Teodoro J. Hibosa and 10 other health officials for their alleged failure to deliver 1.3 billion pesos worth of medicines as well as for the expiration of 68 million pesos worth of vaccines. In a complaint filed last Monday, the 30th of March, the Ombudsman was told, this case charges respondents on a systemic and coordinated corruption within the DOH involving the expiration of essential drugs and life-saving medical commodities, valued in millions to billions of pesos, to the prejudice and damage of the government and the Filipino people. The complaint was filed by concerned Department of Health personnel who sought anonymity for fear of reprisal from Hibosa and his co-respondents. Aside from Hibosa, also named respondents were Health Undersecretaries Randy B. Escalago and Gloria J. Balboa, High Burden Infectious Diseases Prevention and Control Division Officer in Charge Director David Mejiado, Directors Ana Maria Selena Garfin, Adriano Suban, and Cheryl Gavino, Children's Health and Development Division Chief Maria Joyce de Cuzin, Family Planning Program Manager Hardy Dumoing, HIV/AIDS Program Manager Jan Derek Junio, and National Immunization Program Manager Carmina Pazvira. None of those named as respondents could be contacted for comment as of posting time. The complainants asked the Ombudsman to investigate and file criminal and administrative charges against Hebosa and the other respondents for alleged violations of Section 3E of Republic Act 3019 and other appropriate penal laws. They also sought the filing of administrative charges against the respondents for grave dishonesty, grave misconduct, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of public service. At the same time, they asked the Ombudsman to preventively suspend the respondents to prevent them from further abusing their positions to intimidate, harass, and exert undue influence on witnesses, destroy, tamper with, and suppress evidence, and safeguard and preserve the integrity of the investigation and prevent them from obstructing evidence. They alleged that under Hebosa's leadership, the DOH entered into several high-value contracts for commodities, including GOPC 2023-191 for family planning and GOPC 2023-165 for the mental health program. Large volumes of these commodities were delivered to the national warehouse but remained stagnant, failing to reach the intended regional health units. They also alleged, they said the DOJ has incurred an actual, irreparable loss of 68 million pesos due to commodities expiring while stagnant in the national warehouse. Moreover, the National Immunization Program reports an undelivered balance of 1,319,099,880 pesos, representing a staggering failure to utilize said life-saving vaccines. They also alleged, the complainant told the Ombudsman, not only did such material injury result from respondents' gross and inexcusable negligence, but respondents attempted to cover up this massive wastage of state resources also shows their concomitant evident bad faith in conducting and managing the state's health resources. A total of 232 police officers were dismissed from service in the first 3 months of the year over various infractions, the Philippine National Police said Wednesday, as it stepped up internal disciplinary measures. The dismissals were part of administrative sanctions imposed on 740 PNP personnel from the 1st of January to the 25th of March. Of the total, 36 officers were demoted and 333 suspended, while others face penalties, such as salary forfeiture, reprimand, restriction, and withholding of privileges. We do not tolerate wrongdoing. We continue to hold violators accountable, regardless of rank, PNP Chief General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. said in a statement. This is how we rebuild trust, through real action, not just words. The intensified internal purge follows President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to restore integrity within the police force. As part of the crackdown, the PNP's Internal Affairs Service has strengthened its investigative and accountability mechanisms in support of a zero-tolerance policy against erring personnel. The IAS said it is enhancing its operations through stricter case monitoring, sustained motu proprio investigations, and reinforced case build-up to ensure administrative cases are resolved promptly, fairly, and in accordance with due process. IAS Inspector General Brigido Dule underscored the importance of consistent accountability across all ranks. The Internal Affairs Service fully supports the Chief PNP's zero-tolerance policy. Our responsibility is to ensure that accountability is enforced consistently across all levels, Dule said in a separate statement. The IAS is also preparing for the nationwide rollout of its Integrity Caravan, a structured program aimed at reinforcing ethical policing and accountability across all PNP units. The initiative will feature a 6-point ethical policing guide outlining standards on discipline, accountability, professionalism, transparency, respect for human rights, and commitment to public service. At the same time, we are preparing for the rollout of the Integrity Caravan to ensure that every police officer clearly understands the standards expected of them and the accountability that comes with them, Dule said. That's all for this week. I'll see you next Friday with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.